Guys, I have someone really special I want you to meet. Hold on. This is Lucy.
Can I call you Rose? 'Cause you're sweet like a flower.
Lucy is a 1993 Volkswagen Eurovan. She is a Westfalia, which means she can do this, which is pretty epic, if you ask me. I bought her off of Facebook Marketplace for about $8,000. She was the first van that I looked at, and she was the only van that I needed to look at. I mean, come on, look at her. Why would I want it? Why would I want anything else? This is what she looks like on the inside. As you may be able to tell, these seats aren't attached. That is because the lady that I bought her from on Marketplace didn't use these seats, but I did want to show you what she looks like in her almost original form, but I'm not gonna use these seats either. So let's go ahead and get them out of here. Now this is much better. I mean, look at all this room. Now, before I tell you any more about Lucy, let me take this moment to give you guys a bit of a backstory. A little life update, because I haven't really talked about this, but exactly a year ago, I moved from New Jersey back home to Pennsylvania. And that was interesting. If I didn't hate it before, oh boy, do I hate New Jersey now. But I digress. Hit a little bit of a road bump, decided that I was gonna move home to try and get myself back on my feet financially. And I had two goals when I moved back home. My first goal was to get a real job, and my second goal was to get a new car. And now I can proudly say that a year later, I have both of those things. And it's time for me to move on. I met my goal. Now I need a new goal. Now, it was really hard for me to part ways with Alex, which was my RAV4. That was my last car. Really hard for me to part ways because I had the same dreams with him that I have with Lucy. When I bought him, I wanted to travel cross country. I built a bed platform in the back, and I spent 2 months living out of him, driving to California and back. And on top of that, he was also the designated bandwagon for me and the girlies when we would go on road trips from Chicago to Florida to see my friends' bands. And so Alex had a lot of sentimental value to me, and it was really hard for me to get rid of him. And getting rid of him wasn't even necessarily my choice. The universe had to pry him out of my hands, because one fateful evening, right before the 4th of July weekend, I was getting ready to drive to Buffalo, and as I was pulling out of my driveway, I totaled him. Which was so frustrating, because how do you total your car at the end of your own driveway? I drive out of here every day. I was trying to turn left out of my driveway, and I live off of a main road. I did a left, right, left. The guy that was coming too fast, and I ended up slamming into the side of this guy's car. And we both lost our cars that day. Rest in peace, Alex. You will be missed. So that being said, I spent the next 5 months driving around Oliver, which was my car before Alex. That was my 2003 Subaru Forester. Love him. He's a beast. He's a champ. But again, he is no longer with us. And that's not my fault. He's no longer with us because he's just old as shit. And I also drove him across the country and back. And it was time for him to go. So I bet you're probably thinking, okay, she lost 2 cars. There's no way she has another car to drive. Obviously, she has to buy a new one. And that's where you would be wrong, because my mother, for some reason, never has less than 3 cars in her driveway. So thankfully, I got to drive my mom's brand new car around for a month. And that is when I realized that it was time to lock in and really figure out what I was going to do. Was I going to buy a new SUV to just drive around to live a little bit more of a normal life? Because I had toyed with some different ideas of the direction that I wanted my life to go in after I leave home. And, I thought about getting an apartment in a city and getting a normal job and living a normal life. And that made me want to do things that I cannot say on YouTube without getting demonetized, if you catch my drift. So then I started looking at vans, and I came across this van. The issue was that it was in Connecticut, and the seller seemed to already have a lot of people interested and just wasn't responding to us. And so gave up on that, started looking at other options. Really wanted an Astro van or a Chevy G van, because they're just so classic. I wanted a classic, what do you call them, boogie van? I was doing a lot of mental cartwheels trying to decide what I wanted. And then I came across Lucy. I saw her listed. She was in my city, which was nice because everything that I was seeing that I wanted was in Virginia for some reason, or Maryland. And if you don't know, Pennsylvania has stricter rules when it comes to cars. I learned in the process that apparently Pennsylvania is one of the only states where you have to get your car inspected every single year. I guess nobody else has to do that, which is crazy to me. But yeah, this one was in my town. It was in my state. I didn't have to worry about the nightmare of the logistics of what happens at the DMV. So we went to go look at it, and I wasn't even really sure that I wanted this van. Because first of all, it's white. Don't love white vans. I love colored vehicles. I just think they have more charm to them. And it just wasn't old enough, if that makes sense. Like, you look in here, this is all plastic. This is a bit newer, a bit fancier, a bit grayer. It's not so charming on the inside as, say, a 1979 Chevy. You catch my drift? So we went to go look at it. I was a little bit unsure, but as time passed, I just became more sure of it, because the person that was selling her was very nice. She's had this car for a long time. She also only drives Volkswagens, so she's been taking care of it. That was reassuring, and the vibes were right. Now, the issue was that I had to really lock in because she had someone else who was very interested in it. And so now it became this whole fight that we had to go through of, am I going to get it? Are they going to get it? And I was like, no, I'm going to get it because I want it. But do I really want it? And it was just a lot. It was a lot going on in my head. But obviously, as you can see, I won and I got the van. But that wasn't even the last of it, because I finally decided that I wanted this van. And then I had to wait another month because she had just moved from Indiana and she had lost the registration. So now I had to really practice patience, and I really had to think about, oh, do I want this van? And at that point during that month, I had decided that yes, this was the van that I wanted. This is what I want to work on. And even if it's not exactly what I had pictured, it's still a good choice for now. And I need something now. And I have learned that I'm going to go through a lot of cars in this life. The way that I drive, the amount of miles that I spend on the road, I'm going to go through a lot of cars. There's always next time to get that other van. And right now, I just need to enjoy this van. So that is the story of how Lucy became mine. And I'm so glad she is mine. And now the weather is getting warmer and I'm getting antsier. And it's time to make some changes, because all this gray in here, this isn't going to do for me. We gotta do something. We gotta make some changes. Let me tell you about some of the quirks I have come across being a new van owner. Now, the first difference that I noticed, she's heavy. She is a hefty girl. She cannot accelerate like a normal car can. I don't know that I can push her past 80. I am constantly noticing that I am driving under the speed limit, which is new for me. Not that I'm always speeding, but I have a heavy foot when it comes to driving. There's no having a heavy foot with this car, okay? The car is always going to be heavier than your foot, trust me. But on top of her being heavy and just overall bigger in general, I noticed that it's really, really tough to turn the steering wheel. You really got to put some elbow grease in that. And then, since she is so big, she requires a little bit more gas than the average car, which really hurt to see the first time that I had to fill her up. I think my SUV used to cost me $30 to $40 to fill up, and she cost me close to $60 or $70, which isn't huge. I thought that it was going to be $80 to $100, so I'm glad that that's not the case. So those were some adjustments, but now let's go ahead and get into the cute little quirks that she has from being a 93. We have got a crazy amount of leg room up front. We also have numbers that roll, which I think is so cool. We have this cup holder, which was an add-on by the last owners, but we have actual cup holders in the glove box. We have not one, but 2 ashtrays, a cup holder down here, 2 more cup holders back here, conveniently placed beside the table that flips up, a super convenient built-in fan, a back seat that just so conveniently turns into a bed, a whole bunch of storage space under the bed, curtains for every window, another bed up top, which I have never climbed in before, so this is gonna be fun for all of us, which collapses so you have standing room while you're down below, some zippered windows to let fresh air in, some built-in lights that run off of the same battery as the fan, and lastly, a captain's chair. This fan really leaves me speechless. Now, we're not doing anything today. This is just an introductory video to my van and what I want to do with my van. So that being said, let's talk about renovations. Because although it does kind of hurt me a little bit inside to tear up this well-preserved classic vehicle, it's just not me on the inside. And it makes me a little sad with how gray and how dull and boring it is. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is gut this entire thing, take out the back seat, take out the flooring, take off the walls, and just start fresh. Things that are important to me are the classic things. I need a stove, a counter space for that, counter space for a sink, a place for a fridge, a designated place for a battery, a designated place for water since I'm going to have a sink, a bed, and most importantly, which may not be everybody else's priority, closet space. I am going to need a good amount of space for clothes because clothes are very important to me. And that's just not something that I am ever going to not prioritize. I'm a fashion girly. I like to dress up. I like to get ready. I'd also really like to have a space designated for getting ready. And maybe, if we're lucky, find a way to put a full-length mirror in here. I'm thinking that maybe I can store that up in the tent space when I'm not using it and then bring it down and prop it up against something. But yeah, those are my goals. I'll have to check the weather, but I'm hoping that I can start on this next week because my plan is to be ready to be on the road come April because I have a lot of stuff going on in April and it would be super convenient to just get in my van and go to these places that I need to go. And if I'm lucky, hopefully I will have a new job by the beginning of May because my plan right now is to live out of this full time over the summer. And I am not as lucky as I was back in 2020 when I took my first cross-country road trip and was living off of unemployment checks. So I'm gonna need a job to fund this. And I think that the next best step for me is to get into seasonal work. So that's where we're at right now. And that's all I have for you this video. Well, wait, I do have one change that I want to make right now. Let's go ahead and admire these seats one last time because now we're going to put on seat covers. And we've even got the matching steering wheel cover, which not sure is gonna fit, just like the seat covers kind of don't fit, but we're gonna try it out anyways. Guys, I don't think this is gonna work. Yeah, I'm gonna give up on this. Well, hey, we can't win them all, can we? That's just what's gonna happen. An old car is gonna be a little quirky. It's not gonna do exactly what you want it to do. Well, that's all I have for you guys this week. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along on my new van life journey. And I'll see you guys in the next video where hopefully we get some work done on this thing. All right, I love you guys so much. Bye.